Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Morgenstern, its continuing mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Ah, there you are, and welcome to this review of Star Control Origins, where we'll find out if it was worth the wait,
or if it totally sucks.
Find out next.
We forgot cover art.
Run it. Well, it's 2018. No flying cars, no meals in pill form, and no brushing your teeth hands-free. Computer, brush teeth.
Teeth brushing activated.
Computer, save program.
Shave program activated.
Computer, abort! Stop! No robot maids.
Weak.
But what we do have, after its original DOS release and a pair of sequels, is a new Star Control game. It's gotta count for something, right? Is that something good or something not so good? Let's find out. It's time to start the review.
Make it so, number one.
More like number two.
Star Control, it's back! So for newcomers, this is a franchise that's built around the concept of a grand space war. It combines ship-to-ship combat, which they refer to as melee.
Melee? I gotta get a sword.
Along with an in-depth strategy component that revolved around exploration and alliance building. And while there really wasn't too much to the original games, I found that Stabby and we spent most of our time in combat because that's really where the fun was. Star Control's lore has always been unique to its universe, and while it doesn't feature any ships that transcended the franchise to become cultural icons like those in Star Wars, they all featured unique abilities, they handled differently, and generally they were fun to experiment with. So going into this game, we wanted to see if that combat was still a blast, and if the RPG and adventure elements had been sufficiently updated to feel like a more vital, robust, and essentially modern part of the experience. So Star Control Origins, it sees you in the role of an Earthling captain where you're piloting the planet's first ship capable of interstellar travel. And you'll begin the game by getting a quick introduction and mission briefings from this lady, who might be Rogue from the X-Men, but since we know that the X-Men never made it to space, that'd be pretty ridiculous. At any rate, Rogue gives you your first quest, which is to go out and find the source of a distress signal that might be alien in origin.
So what I don't know is where's the one that we care about? Like, I don't see something that looks any different on the screen. Oh, there's one.
And from there, it really doesn't take long before you're introduced to a wide array of aliens, characters, and different races. You've got the Drenkind, the Menkmak, the Muke, the Scrive, the Trandals, the Taiwan, and the Varizi, who were basically just the Volus from Mass Effect after they accidentally received a shipment of Jawa cloaks from Star Wars.
I'm a different species now.
And these aren't even all the aliens, and it's really in these encounters where the game really shines. Or where it can really drag based on your personal tolerance for reading, listening, and just paying attention in general.
Oh my god, there's so much to read.
And over the course of the game, you're going to be fighting against this malevolent race of aliens called the Scrive, who are hell-bent on controlling the galaxy, snuffing out the perceived human threat, along with any other races who they think would cause them harm. There's a lot of intrigue here, and the story is well told, and there's more than a few laugh-out-loud moments.
Maybe. Sounds like something we might do.
So leading up to the game's release, the developers were really touting the element of player choice and how it would affect the universe. But what we found in our experience was that it was sort of underdeveloped when you compare it to other games where there's a heavy emphasis on that choice, especially in the franchise that we compared it to the most frequently, Mass Effect. And fortunately, to help you keep your travels straight, there's a handy menu system that features a captain's log and a sector map, so you know where you're going and where you've been. So if you've got an appetite for space-minded adventure, we really think that Star Control Origins is going to scratch that hitchhiker's itch for you. So the graphics in this game, they're kind of a mixed bag, right? That's not to say that they're bad, but they're not overly impressive either. They've got kind of this cartoony vibe that meshes nicely with the lighthearted feel of the experience. But you spend so much time flying around the vast reaches of space.
We ran out of fuel, Captain.
That things can start to feel a bit samey after a while.
Are we there yet?
The combat sequences, they're animated well, but they feel just a bit dated on the whole. There's games out there that are years old that offer more visually pleasing battle experiences than what you find here, but in the end, this is really a game that you play more for its story than for its visual appeal. And speaking of the story, in these interludes, it's really where Star Control looks its best. Whenever you're thrust into a dialogue sequence, you're going to get a full-screen view of your partner in conversation, and while they don't move around much, their facial expressions, they're well matched to the dialogue, and they're all fun and interesting to look at. You can see that the backgrounds, they're really static, but they give you a good sense of what it's like to be on one of these alien worlds or aboard their ships. And the other place in the game where the visuals are shown off a bit are in the planet traversal sections, and we're going to cover those in a lot more depth in just a few moments. But that's a place where you're going to see a different side of the game. Again, visually it's not going to blow your mind, but it's something different, something unique, and it does kind of mix things up throughout the experience. And the audio might be the game's best feature, and I want to start off with the music. Listen to this. Since most players are going to spend between 20 to 40 hours with the game, you're going to hear a lot of the same music repeated again and again throughout the experience. But here, I actually think that's a good thing. The songs, they're composed as these far-out, vibrating cosmic tunes that really lend themselves well to the overall feel of the game. The music, it changes based on the situations that you're in, but all the songs, they feel appropriate, and frankly, they're kind of soothing. And I know that we keep mentioning Mass Effect here, but it's really hard not to see, or at least in this case here, the influence that that game had on Star Control Origins. You know, while we were playing the game, I kept having these flashbacks of Captain Shepard getting his drunk uncle on at Flux.
Watch this!
And while you don't get to dance yourself in Star Control, there's nothing really that says that you can't groove out while you play the game. Next up, the voice acting. Dudes, it's awesome. It's fun, it's quirky, it's expertly done, and every one of the alien races, they have their own favorite topics, their own speech patterns, and their own unique sounds to them. And while you don't get a ton of on-screen animation when you interact with the different species, you're treated to a variety of high-quality professional voice actors who deliver their lines humorously, convincingly, and in such a way that you really feel like you're getting to know the different species for who and what they are. My favorite part in the game, far and away, came from this alien race called the Taiwan. They're these happy-go-lucky, eager-to-please race of aliens that immediately start referring to you as their best friend. They're eager to give you affection, assistance, hugs, and even shower you with fuel. I mean, not literally. It's hard not to love these guys, so overall, very high marks on the audio for this game. So when you think space adventure, you probably think about jet-setting around the galaxy, fighting off aliens, helping the helpless, and feeling like sort of a badass in general. And here's the thing, you get to do that in this game, but it costs money, and sometimes a lot of money. And there's lots to keep track of. You're going to manage your crew, your fuel, your upgrades, and your pocketbook. And I think there's a big reason why backshop accounting was never a big part of the Star Wars series. The Empire, the Rebels, they just had their money, and how they went about getting it wasn't really much of an issue.
The Death Star is really over budget. You know, we could save some money not installing those thermal exhaust port covers.
Smart.
So let me ask you this. What's your favorite part of having a job?
Spending time away from it.
And that's why we play games, right? To get away from some of those distractions of school, work, paying bills, other responsibilities. So why do game designers love giving us busy work so much? I just don't know.
I do. It's padding. Padding. Lots and lots of padding.
And that's the thing. In this game, you're going to need a lot of money. And how do you get that money?
Resource collection.
As you travel through the different star systems, you're going to happen across a ton of planets, and they all have their own unique features. You've got barren wastelands, you've got bright landscapes filled with flora, fauna, and death robots. Once you've approached and identified a planet to land on, Star Control, it's going to throw you into this mini-game where first, you've got to make it down to the surface, you'll follow a path of yellow squares, and if you end up close to the last one, you're on your way. If you don't, well, you end up with a different result. Once you've touched down, you'll roam the planet's surface looking for small, glowing objects. Occasionally, the game will give you a quest or an objective, but most of the time, you're going to be collecting items like ore, which you can then sell for the in-game currency that you use to buy and upgrade your ships. Mercifully, though, the planets, they're small, and like really small.
Columbus, go to the New World and return with knowledge and riches.
Yes.
Sweet Jesus, sounds fast.
Well, it's a small planet, though.
How small?
StarCraft origin size?
What's with all the blood?
Oh, it's a long story.
I'm the 1%.
Okay, see you later, jerk.
And while the size of the planets definitely speeds up exploration, it feels a little bit more like you're on a snowball or a dirt clod than an actual planet. So there is a bit of give and take there. And also, take a look at this footage. Does this remind you of anything? That's right, it's a callback to everyone's favorite part of Mass Effect, the Mako. Frankly, no one liked the Mako then, and I can't imagine that anybody was really excited to see it come back unless you're like a marine biologist.
Mako! It's a Mako on!
And speaking of biologists, you're actually going to come across a few different enemy types on the planets as well. You've got Acklays from the Clone Wars arena, Rocksteady from the Ninja Turtles, and the love children of Jar Jar Binks and his Brachiosaurus mistress, Helen.
Oh, Misa a deadbeat dad.
They don't provide much of a challenge, but they at least add a little diversion from the monotony, along with a few probe droids and laser towers scattered throughout. So basically, you're going to spend a lot of time traveling from planet to planet, strip mining them, and then leaving once you've killed everything. America. So that's the bothersome stuff. Let's talk about the good stuff now. Combat, it's fun. It's got an old school feel to it, but it's satisfying. The battles, they take place in arenas filled with space debris and power-ups. At its core, it has a very asteroids feel to it.
Just don't feel the asteroids.
And while the enemy variety is there, we really stuck with just one ship type in combat throughout the bulk of our time with the game. It almost makes the other ships feel kind of trivial. And it's not that they're not useful here and there, it's just that this one is so much more useful that branching out was really only for the sake of branching out. And you're going to fight a lot of similar enemies, so when you develop a tactic that works, you're going to stick with it. And that is one gripe that we had with the game, is in the ship selection. You don't really know what weapons a ship has if you haven't used them before until you're actually using them in combat. And if you don't pick the right ship for a battle, it can be over in a hurry. So if we didn't lean on frequent saving and reloading, there could have been a lot of game overs, which would have led us back to resource gathering, trying to rebuy those ships, and going back into battle unprepared. And as you travel through the stars, you're going to find that fighting enemies or landing on certain planets actually can become more dangerous. So this is where you're going to get a chance to burn some of that hard-earned cash.
I'm only burning my half.
So when you dock at star bases or see trade ships, you'll be given the opportunity to upgrade various parts of your ship. And the upgrades, they range from things like faster travel to stronger weapons to being able to land or last longer on inhospitable surfaces, or just to expand the reach for your resource gathering. And the upgrades, they really do work. They become necessary components of the ship, and they give the game a genuine sense of progression. I would have liked to have seen these upgrades represented visually on your vessel as you fly about, but I suppose you can't always have your cake and eat it too.
What's the point of having cake then? You can have a cake and eat it too.
And it'd be nice to be able to test the weapons and the upgrades before you buy them, so we really recommend saving the game before you make a big purchase to make sure that you're getting exactly what you want. But altogether, the upgrades that we found, they were mostly helpful, especially in the latter stages of the game. And like we said, there's a lot here, and you're really going to need all the help that you can get. So to wrap up, Star Control Origins, it's a wide open space exploration game. But the fact that it's so wide open almost makes the galaxy feel a little bit empty, at least from a variety perspective. There's a lot here, but a lot of it feels the same. If you're into space exploration, science fiction, and humorous storytelling though, we think this is a game that you're going to like. The nostalgia value, it'll bump up the scores for those returning to the franchise, but for newcomers, you may not find quite as much to love. So at its current $40 price tag, we actually do recommend this game as a buy. But if you're brand new to the franchise, just be aware that you're in for a lot of grinding here, but you're also in for a lot of laughs along the way. So the newcomer score for this game is a 7 out of 10, but if you've got history with the franchise like me and Stabby, we'll actually bump that up to an 8 out of 10. So as always, this has been the Morgs
and Stabby Show.
And let us know in the comments below how we did. Drop us a like or a dislike.
No, don't do that. I know where you live.
And by all means, subscribe and ring that bell if you want to see more. Also, let us know, are you a Star Control veteran or are you a newly enlisted cadet? And as always, be good, keep playing, and we'll see you next time.
Hey, you want to go grab some lunch?
You mean launch?
No, I didn't. No.
Hey, you just watched us, and it was crazy, so hit that button and subscribe.
Dude, what are you doing?
Nothing. I'm promoting your stupid channel.